everyone. So this week we are talking about chapter 10, which involves abuse later in life. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what kind of definitions of elder abuse include, some examples of what elder abuse includes, some at-risk factors for elder abuse, and then mandated reporting as well. So one of the problems that we're seeing with elder abuse is the defining older abuse and what age constitutes older abuse. Technically, the AARP considers older adults to be 50 and older. I know my mother would scoff at that. Others, the National Center on Elder Abuse refers to older adults as 60 and above. The Bureau of Justice Statistics differentiates between adult and older adults at age 65. So again, we typically, when we hear older adult, think of 60, to 65 and above. So Adult Protective Services, or APS, is the service that's provided to older adults, similar to CPS, Child Protective Services. APS is for adults or older adults who are in danger of being abused. All states have an Adult Protective Services program, and in most states, Adult Protective Services is the first responder for allegations of abuse or neglect. It's really hard for us to grasp and get a picture of the prevalence of elder abuse because it is incredibly private in nature and so many go unreported. But because of the nature of our, society demographics, it is estimated that the number of investigations in older abuse may increase by 50% by year 2030. Again, because of the baby boomer generation transitioning and becoming older adults, it's expected to have a significant change, an increase in the number of cases. So the CDC defines elder abuse as intentional act or failure to act by a caregiver or another person in a relationship involving an expectation of trust that causes or creates a serious risk of harm to an older adult. So some examples and some things that we include, again, very similar to intimate partner violence, physical, psychological, and sexual abuse will be included. And then there's some other aspects as well. So improper restraint, slapping, shoving, using too much force that causes an injury, even if it's not intentional. Sexual abuse, so non-consensual sex of any kind. Older adults are much less likely to report sexual abuse than younger victims. Coerced sex, things like that. Financial abuse. So this is financial exploitation is defined as illegally taking, misusing, or concealing of funds or assets of an elderly or vulnerable adult. Experts have described financial exploitation as an epidemic. A 2010 study estimated that financial exploitation costs older adults at least $2.9 billion a year. So there are specific fiduciary abuse specialist teams that have been designed to specifically investigate financial abuse crimes. We also have neglect. So this is the failure to or refusal to provide for care, such as food, shelter, healthcare, things like that. So these neglect can occur even when there is no willful desire to inflict physical or distress. So who's at risk the most for elder abuse? Adults who are dependent on others for basic care are particularly vulnerable. Many victims are very frail, very vulnerable, and often cannot help themselves. They may not seek help oftentimes because they're not sure who to talk to about this. They're not sure what can be done. There's the fear of not being believed and the fear of getting involved in something that they don't want to be involved with. So some of the consequences that we see of elder abuse is severe emotional distress, much higher rates of depression, higher rates of suicide, loss of dignity, and misplaced feelings of self-blame. There's oftentimes a lot of shame discussing the crime, and so that's a large reason why it goes unreported oftentimes, feelings of embarrassment that family members or others may find out. Finally, I want to just quickly go over mandated reporting laws with you all. Legally, mandated reporting laws legally require physicians, nurses, social workers, and others designated by the state to report suspected abuse against older adults to Adult Protective Services. The reporter is required to document when he or she saw abuse taking place or when there is a reasonable belief that it is occurring. So absolutely would recommend putting the phone number for the Texas Adult Protective Services in your phone number, or whatever state that you live in your phone, so that you have that on hand anytime as well. So that's just a very quick overview of what the chapter is going to go over this week. So as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.